Let's go back to our earlier chat as a colonel in Mali's army says he's now in charge of the West African country, declaring himself the chairman of the junta that forced the democratically elected but unpopular president to resign. General Assimi Goita, one of the 5 mutinous military officers who announced this week's coup, declared himself the chairman of the junta now in power. Dr. Charles Sinkala, the president of Africa 55 states and Organization of African Political Parties Forum, joins me now via a video link. Dr. Sinkala, a pleasure to have you back. We heard a short while ago from the former Nigerian president, Goodluck Jonathan, about the talks this week, which ended quite swiftly. But he says that he's hopeful. What do we expect to happen next?
Yes, the talks are continuing now to establish a transition government, and I think what the Malians will do now, they will have to go for an elections like what has been planned. So there's nothing major of the cause by the regional bloc that they reinstate the president Keita in Mali. I think this will be as a repeat of what happened in 2012 when he was ushered in office in 2013. Because there was this agenda to depose him off, even if he tried to create a transition government with all sectors and participants of the society, including the political parties.
But are you confident that this intervention or these talks will help bring stability in the region?
Yes, it will materialize. You know, this has happened before, like I've just mentioned. You know, the major thing is a coup, which was actually initiated, and that they have executed it correctly. You know, by the globalist agenda, who's got interest in the Mali governance, including the minerals. So now the army now they are just holding on the power for this stage, for them to allow the peace and security stabilization within the country and the region. That way, I think in a few days from now or weeks, they will announce the election date, and then we'll go for elections, and to be normal, as in everything, nothing happened. You know, but as Africans, we must look beyond what the coup d'etats, which are happening now frequently in Africa, like before it used to happen. We just had recently another one not long ago in Zimbabwe, where a democratically elected president was deposed of, you know, and we must look outside and outward, you know, within our continent, and who is engineering these coup d'etats. You know, you must remember that in Mali, if we talk about the mineral wealth, there is about more than 10 billion metric tons of gold. You know, there's uranium, there's oil now that has been discovered, and if we look at the international community's involvement, we have countries like France, Denmark, United Nations, who has sent more than 15,000 troops. You know, and there's also an agenda of creating instability in the country by the emergency of the insurgencies who have been created by this globalist agenda who wants to distract the country, as it has happened elsewhere in the continent.
To expand on this sentiment that you're raising about a resurgence of such coups on the continent, there are concerns that have emerged that this coup in Mali may inspire a similar rebellion in parts of the region. Are these concerns valid?
Yeah, concerns are very valid, because this is an agenda of how, you know, these globalists find both sides of the ISIS group is being investigated now, and we are fully aware who has initiated the ISIS, you know, to create that confusions and destabilize within the countries. If you look at the involvement of these insurgencies, you know, who has mushroomed, including in West Africa, Nigeria, they are the Boko Harams, and as well we are hearing them who are threatening now the Southern Africa here near South Africa and Mozambique. You know, these are coming in where there is mineral wealth, and you know, the intervention, I think, from regional blocks, it's inevitable, you know, so that we can contain this. If you look at the situation in Zimbabwe, where we have not that much of reserves in terms of minerals, though there is gold, we do not have that intervention from France and Denmark or United Nations in terms of keeping security there. But in areas where we have natural resources, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan and Sudan, Eritrea, and Niger, and the Ivory Coast. Now we're having problems there. This is where we're having the machine and the emergency of the insurgencies, who are fighting the governments. And what we must look outward is to check who is actually financing these coup d'etats. Because for a coup d'etat to be executed, a well-managed and planned, a premeditated plan has to be established, where all the security forces, the army, the police, and the ones, that they execute these operations in a way and manner that is effective. And no other African country within their people alone has ever executed a coup d'etat in Africa. And if you look at the word coup d'etat, it's never everywhere you can find it within the languages of Africa, including English. A coup d'etat is a French word, which means the overthrowing of the government by power. So as Africans, we need to unite regarding, if we see that there is signs of instabilities within the countries and the region, we need to act very fast, because the inevitable of having a coup d'etat, which is undemocratic, and it brings a lot of instabilities within the countries and the regions. And I think the call by President Goita, to invite the community and the international community, regional blocs, to assist him in terms of the problems which we had recently. You remember that they created as well a narrative that he wants to run for another term, that also they created another narrative that President Goita will be a ceremonial president and the Prime Minister will be superior to run the government, which has never happened. And these are just part of the symptoms which leads to the coup d'etat, if they fail to handle the security in the country.
Well, we've been hearing there from Dr. Charles Sinkala saying there that there's been widespread condemnation of this military junta taking over and basically pushing out the president of Mali.